with AOC situation, Bernie had to come out and actually say, hey, I gave her that speaking spot. And it was only for 60 seconds because that's what a normal time for when you're putting somebody in a nomination. If she officially got a speaking time from the DNC, it would be probably longer, at least 5 to 10 minutes. So if it wasn't for Bernie, she wouldn't even be in the program, which is crazy to anybody who knows AOC has the biggest social media following and all of that stuff. And then after she said what she said and she put Bernie in the nominee, the people who supposed to know how this works the most tried to spin it as if she did not do the proper thing. And it was this big controversy that she nominated Bernie and didn't mention Biden.
I hear all the spin about AOC tonight. Her job was to nominate Bernie Sanders. That's why she was there. She wasn't supposed to talk about Joe Biden. But you don't even mention his name. You couldn't have found a way to fit Joe Biden into your nomination of Bernie Sanders.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez couldn't even be bothered to mention her own party's nominee.
And that's why, and that's the key that we need to educate our voters, right?
Listen,
there's so much confusion, like with the process. Like people need to make sure that they understand how like conventions work, because the narrative of the media was right away, right? They were like, didn't endorse Biden. She's trying to divide the party. She's trying to be, and they know what they're doing.
yeah. But they're overplaying their card, because you know they're overdoing it when Joy Reid, out of all people, has to correct the record on the progressive side.
You know, there's a media perception that tries to separate younger and more progressive voters from the party writ large, you know, in part by looking at what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the position she was given last night in the lineup, right? And I think people who don't know conventions don't understand that somebody nominates the second place person. So she wasn't doing some crazy thing showing up and saying she nominates Bernie Sanders. Like, her literal job was to place his name in nomination, because it's a courtesy that's given to the person who finishes second. So that happens every time, everybody who freaked out.
So you know they're overplaying their hand.
Yeah,
I don't get why company or like media does that. Everyone knows that when you go after AOC, she has a direct line to talk to her supporters. She doesn't go through like making a video, doing a speech. No, she'll just tweet out, hey, this person did XYZ, and this is why XYZ is a bad thing. This is dumb. Don't fall for this.
Exactly. And to John's point,
that simple.
in all the previous conventions, everyone who has received delegates are able to speak at the convention. And Tulsi Gabbard, who received delegates, did not have a speaking spot.
They're always in favor of tradition and decorum and all that stuff until they're not when it comes to us. You can't challenge an incumbent. You can't challenge an incumbent. It's not allowed until it's a progressive incumbent. And then, you know, we'll endorse the establishment.
It's the pity and stuff, unless you go and be like Andrew Yang and cry out and be like, oh, I thought they were going to give me a speaker slot, and then people will go crazy and then they give him a speaker. Like, people, they don't understand, like, everyone, like, as much as we may agree or disagree, Tulsi has the followers. You throw their following a bone and get them excited about something. Maybe you don't get 100% of the voters, but if you get 40%, that's 40% you didn't have before. And they don't understand that concept. They just be like, no, we don't care. We don't need those people. Like, we don't need the AOC people. We don't need the Tulsi people. We don't need the Yam people. Like, we don't need the Muslim community. We're going to win. We're going to win because Trump is bad, and everybody needs to realize Trump is bad.
You know what, John, you triggered a spot, something that I just thought of. So remember, AOC didn't even have a spot for a while, and they had to kind of put pressure. You said Andrew Yang. They try, the media or the progressive media try to put pressure and say, hey, how can AOC not even have a spot? And that's when Bernie gave her that little speaking spot. So it wasn't even from the DNC. So if you remember from 2016, it was supposed to be Tulsi and Nina who was supposed to do that spot where they put Bernie into the nomination. And I know Nina Turner was really looking forward to it, and the DNC scratched that. They told Bernie, no, we're not going to allow her to go on the stage. So I wonder if with all the pressure And did that then allow Bernie to put her on there? Because maybe at first they were trying to prevent AOC, like how they blocked Nina Turner. But then with all the pressure, they said, okay, get your little 60, 90 seconds.
Yeah, I want to quickly talk about the media too, again, like what Felipe was bringing up before. I mean, we all know that the media, okay, AOC is the media's darling and all that, but they're going to take any shots that they possibly can. Oh, yeah. Anytime that they see her even come remotely close to not being in compliance with the Democrats, right? I mean, they're gonna keep riding her young, fiery Latina brown skin all the way up to the identity politics top, but only as long as she stays in line. I mean, let's be honest here. Right. And all I gotta say to AOC is please don't fall in line. Please keep fighting the progressive fight no matter what. No matter what they promise you, because look at what they do to people like Yang and everybody else.
Warren, how many promises has she gotten?
Absolutely right. She called her mama bear and all this stuff.
Yeah, yo, one thing, the mama bear thing, I think the thing is getting played out already, because we know Latino people, we say, man, you say, mira, mami, ven aquí. Like, yo, we say we got nicknames for everybody, man. That ain't nothing. You know, it doesn't mean they're like bosom buddies all of a sudden. So that's played out, man.
The point we bring that up, though, is that we need to not give in to the establishment. That's the only reason. We have to stop trying to placate them and trying to appease them, and because they're going to spit you. They did not give her 5 minutes.